Hello everyone. In this lesson I'm going to be talking to you about the circumflex and the Iota subscript, which sound scary, but I promise they are not. The circumflex is a symbol you will see above long vowels and diphthongs in your ancient Greek texts. You won't see it above all long vowels and diphthongs, just some of them, and it's good for you to be able to recognise it, and it's useful for pronunciation, so that's why I'm telling you about it now. The circumflex either looks like a squiggle or a bridge, depending on the text. Okay, it's printed as one of those two. Scholars believe the circumflex was originally used to indicate a rising and then a falling pitch, hence the squiggle. However, I've only ever met, I think, 2 Greek teachers who try and recreate that pitch when they're pronouncing ancient Greek. The majority of Greek teachers do not try and alter the pitch because of the circumflex, but the circumflex is useful for us with regard to pronunciation in one way. Namely, if the circumflex is above a vowel, then the vowel must be long. Keep that in mind. Let's look at some examples. You might see eta with a circumflex. Okay? Now eta is already long, so this would still be pronounced air. You might see a with a circumflex. A would still be pronounced a because diphthongs are already long. Likewise with oi. However, if you see an alpha with a circumflex, then you know it must be long. So it must be r. Likewise, if you see iota with a circumflex, it must be e. And finally, if you see upsilon with a circumflex, it must be u. It must be a long u sound as opposed to e. Okay, so the circumflex is useful for us in that respect. It enables us to know if an alpha, iota or upsilon is long. This is useful because circumflexes will be printed in Greek texts. So although macra, indicating when vowels are long on other occasions, are not printed in Greek texts, you will see circumflexes. So the circumflex acts as a clear indicator that a vowel is long and should be pronounced long. Like I said, the other cases, I will use macra to indicate, and you'll just have to learn them on a case-by-case basis. However, you now know that if a vowel has a circumflex, then it must be long. Next, I want to talk to you about the iota subscript. The iota subscript looks like a tiny iota that you might see beneath an alpha, eta or omega, like you see on screen. You can see that small iota beneath the alpha, eta and omega. This symbol means that you should add a small iota sound to the end of the vowel. And also, you should know that alpha is always long with an iota subscript. So, let's look at these vowels again. Here you have alpha with an iota subscript, so alpha must be long, that means it must be r, but we must also add the small iota sound to the end of that vowel sound. So it will be I. Eta with iota subscript would be a. Omega with an iota subscript would be oi. There are some Greek teachers who do not pronounce the iota subscript. I think this is a mistake, because there are times when 2 forms of a word are distinguished only by the presence of an iota subscript. And so, when you're trying to memorise the forms of that word, it's a lot easier if those 2 forms sound different in your head. Whereas if they sound the same, it's a lot easier to get confused. So you should pronounce the iota subscript, both out loud and in your head. It makes learning Greek a lot easier. Let's do some practice with words involving the iota subscript. Here we have a phrase, en aporiai, which means in perplexity. En aporiai. I hope you remember to pause the video and pronounce it before me. The noun there is aporia, which means perplexity or bewilderment. Plato's early dialogues are said to often end in aporia, where the people involved in the conversation are left in a state of bewilderment or puzzlement or perplexity. They don't know how to resolve what they were discussing. The second phrase we have on screen is ente ge, which means on the earth or on the land. Ente ge. The third word we have is tragoidia, meaning tragedy. Tragoidia, tragedy. The fourth word we have is oider, meaning song. Oider. You can actually see the word oider within tragoidia, because tragoidia literally means goat song. Tragos is a goat, oider is a song. Tragoidia is a goat song. And I think scholars are still uncertain as to why a tragedy is a goat song. Maybe they found out now. You can let me know in the comments. But thank you for listening. That's all about the Iota Subscript and the Circumflex.